Sustaining Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Chris Plourde. He's a Los Angeles-based conscious performance coach, consultant, speaker, mind-body, breathwork, meditation instructor with over 23 years experience. Please enjoy Chris Plourde. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I am here with Chris Plourde. He is a conscious performance coach. Can't wait to dive into the world of creativity with him. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to chat with you about creativity. But before we dive in, if you wouldn't mind taking a couple of minutes and letting our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Great. Yeah, no problem. So I grew up in Boston, so very east or south of Boston, a town called Brockton. Very athletic town, kind of bit blue collarish, really, man's men, so to speak, in a way, right? And I was a really sensitive kid, like in my elementary school years. And as I progressed, I was like, wow, why do I cry so easily? Why am I so sensitive? Why am I, I'm not fitting in because I have this sensitive way about me. So I developed these masks, so to speak, this armor throughout the years that I took with me into college. And I did a pretty good job of becoming a good athlete, football, wrestling, what I thought my idea of a man should be, so to speak. And so, I did that. I interned, I went to college, Fitchburg State University, interned at Walt Disney World, Florida. I have a doctorate from Disney University. It's just a doctorate. Yeah. Very prestigious. No, I'm kidding. It was a 6-month internship, but that's what they call it. Their little take on things. And then I moved out here about 22 years ago. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I have an amazing wife of 16 years, 2 awesome kids, 15 and 9. And I really owe our relationship to just open communication, just really going at it. As far as if there's something that we need to discuss, let's talk about it. Let's get it on the table. Let's not hide our feelings or emotions. So cut back to what I did as a career. I have a business degree. I worked for many companies. I worked for Xerox. I did medical device sales. I Enterprise Rent-A-Car, all the great sales companies I worked for. And I realized when I got into those companies after about a year or so, I was like, I'm just not fulfilled. There's something here that I'm not getting. And so I always had a career. I always taught classes and trained people in the fitness world. So at some point I decided that I'm going to make this my full-time gig because that was more fulfilling to me. Was being in the fitness realm of things and helping people and really get into the nitty gritty of who they were. It was more than just, can they lose weight or perform, do a triathlon or ride a bike or whatever the case may be. It was, can they really see themselves within this training? Can we put them on a path, on a goal, and get them to fall in love with the journey of it all, right? So in the process of all this, my wife got pregnant 15 years ago, and I got scared. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I have this great fitness career, but I had an old limiting belief of I need to find a safe job, because that was instilled in me as a young kid. If you get a great corporate job with great benefits, you're going to be fine and happy and everything's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so I got scared and I let fear run me. And I said, well, what's the highest paying job I could find in the corporate sales world? Even though I was making 6 digits and doing really well in the fitness industry. And I went into medical device sales, and same thing happened, right?
Yeah.
I was in the OR. I was working with doctors because I had a belief that I need to be in this environment because that was what was instilled with me at a young age. So about a year through that, I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. And if I wanted to give my kids a lesson in life, it was like, follow your heart, do what you love, you know? And if I wasn't doing that, how could I preach that? How could I be that for them?
Yeah.
So I jumped out and never looked back. And I was fortunate enough to be a fitness professional. I got to travel around the world. I certified thousands of instructors, and just had a blast doing it. But I really wanted to get deeper into the heart of what made people tick, right? And what was that underneath the fit, low body fat, you know, aspect of someone, right? So in the process of that, all my workshops that I created were all about performance, all about not just physical performance, but mental performance, you know, following your heart, your authentic self, you know, limiting beliefs. And I was told many, many times that, this is more than just fitness. You know, I wanted to work with instructors. This is way more than just working in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
And so I had all these workshops, weekends created. And then about 12 years ago, I also decided to join a men's organization that was all about mature masculinity, right? What was it like to take the mask off? What was it like to be a mature masculine man? Let's go through some initiation weekends. Let's train leaders, not just to be these macho men that were as, you know, kids, but these were these men that really knew how to get vulnerable and really knew how to be happy, right? And so I went through that for 12 years, weekly meetings, different weekends that I was in and led, and, you know, and then I was the chief executive for the last couple of years of the organization that I was in, and got a lot from it. So I was able to take all of that, incorporate it into my workshops and working with people. And then the pivotal moment was when one of my clients goes, hey, would you come talk to my sales team? Right. And work with a sales team that he had when a company of 28 years that they had running. So I went and gave some of my material to the sales team, talked to them about, you know, performing better, you know, this and that. Then I started working with them one-on-one, right? How can we perform at our very best? How can you eliminate these pleasing aspects of yourself and start being more in service? Why don't you take a vacation, because you haven't taken one in 2 years, right? So anyways, you know, I can go through a gamut of everything that went on, but lo and behold, in 3 months, we had a 30% increase in sales and an all-time high the company has ever seen.
Nice.
And that we never spoke about money once. We never went, what is your sales goal? What are you trying to? We talked about performance in their own lives and setting goals. So once that happened, I never looked back, and there's so much more, but, you know, then I got into breath work and meditation and all these other things that I use with my clients. But that's kind of the long story long, so to speak.
I love it. I mean, such a holistic, like, whole person view of thinking of sales, like the whole person. Perspective. I love that.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, since we're here to chat about creativity, I'm going to dive in and ask, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Right. It's such a good question, because there's a couple things that really stand out for me. And, you know, growing up, I always thought creativity was just about oh, I can draw, and I'm a terrible drawer. I was like, no, I don't, terrible. And, or we can make a sculpture or do any of that, painting. And that's what I found is not true at all. And where I really was woken up to that was The Artist's Way, the book, The Artist's Way. Yeah. And reading that and going through the chapters and doing my morning pages is what it talks about. I was able to unlock a lot of what was keeping me stuck in my life. And being creative, in my opinion, is about being open to the possibilities, about being in flow in life, right? Following your joy, being in the right brain as opposed to the survival left brain that so many people ruminate in their lives. And they just check the boxes and they like, oh, got this done, so I should be successful and happy. No, I think the happiness and success comes from being in that right brain, the sage perspective, not the judgment of all that is happening. Yeah. So once I realized that, and that's when I just got off the phone a couple hours ago with someone I'm doing a retreat for next month. And it was like, okay, listen to what it is they need, but be open to what other ideas can potentially come in to make this a really impactful experience for this company to go through. Right. And that to me is so important to not put limits on what is possible, but to be, as Seth Godin says, a linchpin, right? If you guys have ever read that, he's a huge advocate of being a creative in whatever job or career you're in, right? And don't put limits and just check the boxes on what your job description is, but let's be something more. Let's get the job done, but what else can you do? How can you go above and beyond and have fun in this journey that you're in?
Yeah. So, I love it. I love the passion that just comes out when you talk about it. It's so great. And you talk about, finding the flow or being in flow. And I'm curious, how do you personally know when you are in that flow space?
It was really interesting. I just got back I did another, a big retreat with about 80 individuals last weekend. We were in Cabo, and I hadn't really spoken to people in front of people in a year and a half. Right. And I was used to being in front of 200, 300, sometimes 400 people a week in person, right? Between classes and individuals and organizations and everything. And so but I got really good on Zoom. Zoom was a little tough for me at first. I was doing my workshops and stuff on there. And then somebody asked me to do a quick 5-minute presentation at a real estate agency here in Manhattan Beach. And I was like, yes, I got to get in front of people. Right. And so I went in thinking I was just going to kind of free flow. I had this quick little 5-minute thing I was going to do. And I froze. I got into my head and all I could see was me wanting to run out the door, for that 5 minutes. I was like, I had PTSD from it. Yeah. It was like one of the worst public speaking. I never had a public speaking hiccup until then. I've made mistakes, but it was, I went into my judge and I was like, oh my God. So I talk about that because I know a lot of people have fear of public speaking, but that was such an eye opener for me, because when I committed to this retreat 2 years ago that got canceled last year, and then this one, I really got like, oh my God, how am I going to be? What am I going to do? Like, am I going to totally flail this? And I found myself in anxiety and this and that. And what I did to really work with myself is, yes, I meditated, but I did a lot of writing about how I wanted to go. I set myself up where I wrote down the goals as if they already happened. Right. And doing that, it tricks the subconscious brain into kind of going, oh, this is, you already start to feel the feels of what it is to be in front of the room, or the results you want these people to experience.
Yeah.
And from there, I created a little mission statement, a context, which is like a purpose. And we call it context, purpose, results, that I teach this technology. And it really helped me. My wife calls it the magical spell to the universe, right?
I love that.
Because it is, you're creating it, you're creating an energy within yourself.
Yeah.
And then as I got down there into Mexico and I got into the place, and I just felt this energy of that context overtake me. And then the morning of, I was like, I am excited to serve, and I want to have fun. And there was a lot of laugh, and it was just like, it just opened up so much for me that the flow state, long story again, but just happened. And every situation that came in was just, okay, what's your context?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody had a question. Great. Okay, boom. It's just like, I walked around and I took 50 cell phones in a box from 50 CEOs, right? Which is not an easy thing to do.
No.
I was like, I need you all to be present. But when that one person decided not to do it, I was just like, okay, and you just, you flow into it. And then the rest of the day, just once you get into those hard questions and people are able to share, and there's an energy within the room that is creative and flowing and beautiful. And it just put me in the space of service, like real service, not about, can I look good? Can I be in service here?
Right. I love that reminder of, there's a phrase someone says, when you get nervous, focus on service. And that's kind of what you're talking about. And, but I love that you're speaking to getting into that flow state. There's actually a lot of prep. There's some preparation that happens before. And I think for many people, they assume, oh, you just automatically step into that flow space and here I am, and it's amazing.
No.
But that preparation, that kind of working through those creative challenges that show up, any anxiety or fear,
100%,
those pieces. So thank you so much for speaking to that, because I think that's an aspect of flow that we don't really talk about.
Right. But that's what you just said, like working with some of my clients, who are, college professors or chief medical officers or, CEOs. They have to be on and have a certain way about them all the time. They're always making decisions, right? And to set them up and say, okay, what is the routine you have going into this meeting, or going back home after an argument with your spouse, right?
Yeah.
Taking that moment to kind of go, okay, how can I be right now? Not as how is she going to be, or he going to be, but how am I going to be my best version of myself? And that takes discipline, and it takes intention. Yeah. Right. And it's like everything. It's a repetition over and over again, where you just practice it, and eventually it becomes part of your lifestyle.
Yeah. Great reminders. I think for many people who assume creativity just happens in these light bulb moments, but the amount of work that is actually those stepping stones that we're building to create that life, or the reminder of like, have I checked in with myself today? Did I do that? Nope. Didn't do that. Okay. Missed that step. Yeah.
Totally.
So I love it. Well, when you think about inspiration, who or what inspires you these days?
Speaking of flow, what I love to watch, and it's so funny you asked me that, because I start a lot of my workshops with that same question. I go, what inspires you, and how do you inspire others? Right.
Yeah.
And what inspires me, and how I know it's true. What inspires me first, and I'll tell you how it's true, is watching someone in their element.
Oh yeah.
Watching a speaker on stage captivate an audience, watching an athlete just have a phenomenal day, whatever sport they're playing, right? Seeing a writer or a poet put out this beautiful piece, that just is like, it just touches you, right? Seeing a painting or hearing a song that is just like, wow, that is so good, right? The words or the lyrics, and how I know it's true within me is chills. Like when I get the chills, when I see it, and I can literally, I'm getting the goosebumps right now talking about it. When I see it for myself, or when I'm in it, the chills are just bouncing all over the place. There's like, that's, it's the muse, the flow that comes in through you. And I think there's more to it than just what we create. There's more around us. It's the connection to the universe that we can allow in.
Yeah. I mean, great confirmation, like physical confirmation, chills to say like, yes, chills. Inspiration is here.
Right. I'm getting the chills. So therefore it is happening. It is real.
Yeah.
There it is. So
I love that. Yeah. I think inspiration happens all around us. And I love that distinction of witnessing people in their element as being so inspiring. Cool. Yeah. I love it. Nice. What's your earliest memory of being creative?
I think, I think it's in sport. When we just talked about inspiration or flow, I can remember wrestling, and being in this, I'm just getting taken over, and I'm not thinking about what I need to do next. Or if I go out for a mountain bike or trail run, like for me, I'm very physical. Like I need to be moving and doing certain things, because if I'm sitting, what I learned is if I'm sitting at this desk all day, right, especially over COVID, which I never did before. Even my wife goes, you got to get out of here. Like, it's not good. I gotta do my workout in the morning. I gotta go do something else in the middle of the afternoon. But I really think for me, it's to answer it. It was within sport, because that's where I was in my place. I also did ultra resistance cycling and mountain biking, and I was a cyclist. So I competed for a good part of my life. And when I moved out to California here, and there is a Zen-like quality in something that happens when you're at that speed and you're moving and you're connected to nature and you're around awesome people that are able to kind of push each other in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And then the ideas that come out are, if you're able to talk in that moment, you're just like, yes, this is what it's all about. So.
That's great. Yeah. I've interviewed a previous professional athlete, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. He felt like being an athlete was a full body creative experience.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I'm just going to say yes, because, we talked a little before the show, but when we talk about being creative, we're dealing with all aspects of your life, right? One of my old mentors, who I worked for, Johnny G, the guy who created spinning, he had this book out. He called it The 5 Spokes of Your Life. And he related the 5 areas of your life to a spoke, right? So each spoke represented one area of your life: spiritual, personal, relationships with yourselves and others, with yourself and others, financial, professional. Did I say professional? Financial. Let me say that one more time. Spiritual. Personal. Okay. Financial. Professional. And physical.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If one of those areas is out of true, if something you're like, oh my God, I'm always in scarcity mode because of my finances and or I'm 20 pounds overweight and I just feel like crap all the time, that wheel is going to not spin in the area that it should spin in. It's going to wobble a little bit. Yeah. So my job, or one of the things I point out to my clients, I don't do it for them, they have to do it themselves.
Sure.
Is to put the mirror up to them and go, look, this is where you might need to shine the light on a little bit more. Right. And if you're not fully engaged in all these areas of your life, then guess what? Something is not operating at your full potential. And that's what I love, working with people that are operating at that full spectrum of their life, that full potential, and they show up to the plate and I show up, and there's this beautiful chemistry that just happens because we're both here to fall in love with this journey and to be successful, but fulfilled and happy. All those things take place.
And so much creativity goes into that. I mean,
100%.
I love it. I love all those aspects. I mean, it sounds like you have this very robust community between all of the organizations you work with, coaching clients, I'm sure family, kids, all of it.
Yeah.
When you think about your community, how does your community impact or influence your own personal creativity?
I think the number one thing that most of us crave is like acknowledgement, right? And there's studies out that say, hey, people actually would you rather have a raise, a 20% raise, or more acknowledgement so you're seen at work or in your career or in your community, right? And for years back in my mask days, or my the armor that I would put on, I never let that in, right? It was always like, let's move to the next thing. Great, I did that, I accomplished that goal, check. What's next? And I never let in the wins. And I think this is really important, the wins or the acknowledgement of what we did right. Like if somebody gave me a compliment, I was like, oh no, what about you? No, you thank you. No, thank you for showing up to class. Don't just, it's not just about me. I just get up here and do my thing. And it was, when I look back, it's kind of sad because we get brought up in this way of, we need to be humble, right? Somebody said you have to be humble, right? And what is actually being humble? It's like, are we being humble or are we being modest? Right. And I think a lot of people mistaken modesty. They're not like showing up, their lights are dim. Yeah. They're showing up and they're kind of going through life and they're going, all right, I'm going to move on to this next thing. They're not like heart open, chest, like, let's go, let's live this life. Let's be all in everything that we do. Right. They're kind of like timid, moving through step to step because of judgment. Well, if people in a community, right, whether that's in your community at work, on your men's or women's teams, or your forums or organizations that whatever it is, when you're getting that reflection back, that truth of, I want to acknowledge you for just moving through this pandemic, and it's staying like listening for the signs, like you were talking earlier, you creating this podcast was like, okay, I still want to serve people. So how can I do that and reach? So you started this podcast. Awesome. Like you saw the opportunity and you moved towards that. Yeah. Right. And that's what people want to be, I think, go through life and go, if you can get a couple acknowledgements a day, fantastic. If you can look in the mirror and go, I really like you. I really love you. You know what I mean? You did a great friggin' job. Right. But that's where the momentum is built. And I think that's what community gives us, is that idea of you get to give it and you get to receive it, and let yourself receive it. Yeah. Allow that in. Yeah. And don't be this modest, light kind of moving through life like at a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. I want you playing at a 9 or 10. Right. For those people listening who are like, well, how do you let it in? Do you have any quick little tips of how someone might let in acknowledgement? Yes. Yes, sure. I got a couple things. A couple hundred things. Things. Yeah. This is a 2-hour podcast? Yeah. Good. All right. So I would say the first thing is just simply start writing, right? Okay. I write every morning. And when we talked about the artist way at the beginning, but I really encourage a lot of my clients to do that. And that's a game changer for a lot of people, because what I think that does is, if you want to get really deep and spiritual, it opens up a lot of like synchronicities in people's lives. And it's amazing to watch people go, oh my God, guess who just called me today? Or guess who just what showed up, or what opportunity came, right? You're writing, getting those things out of what's keeping you stuck. Really, really important. But also saying, hey, I did right. I did something really right. Like I golfed with a buddy one time, and we got off the golf course, and he goes, what were your 3 best shots? And I go, what? I go, I'm still worrying about the balls I lost on hole 7 in the water. Right. He goes, no, write down your 3 best shots. And I'm like, what a concept. Like if we could get to the end of the day and go, what are the 3 best things what are my 3 wins that happened to me today? Right. Write those down, say them out loud, share them with a loved one, share them with a buddy. Don't be afraid of playing small, compliment them, let them compliment you. That right there, that one gesture of just sharing your wins every day is a big deal. Yeah. And it was something that's hard. It was hard for me to take in, but once I mastered, and I didn't master it, I never mastered anything, but once I understood that, it really just kind of elevated me and my frequency a little bit more. Nice. Right. Instead of going, you accomplished that. Okay. What's next?
Right. And it's, deceptively simple to write down 3 wins from your day. Anyone can do that. Right. Yeah.
That's right.
I love it. Right. Thanks for the tips.
Or maybe it's you having an accountability buddy, right?
Yeah.
Like I know with a team, it was like, I got the truth given to me. If I wasn't showing up at my best self, hey, you're not showing up at your best, or here's what I see that you're doing great at. Yeah. And then allowing that, a buddy, a team, a mastermind, whatever that is, let them see you and be in that energy of a team, of a group. What's the definition of team? We're all working towards a win. Doesn't have to be the exact same win, but you're working towards a certain win.
So true. Oh. Yeah. I love all of that. I mean, there's just so many little pieces that I think, many people don't see as being transformational. Writing down, if you for a week, maybe just take 7 days and see what happens when you write down 3 wins every day for 7 days.
Right. Like, well, I mean, but it's more than that, right? Like it is a week, but let's look at it like in the mental fitness aspect. I'm a coach for positive intelligence. And they have all this research based studies on mental fitness and what it takes to switch from that left brain judge, which I alluded to earlier, to that right brain sage aspect. So we live longer, we're happier, we're more successful, all studied based. How do you switch and burn new neural pathways into your brain and let those old habits die out? Right? They've gotten us here. Thank you for getting me to where I am right now. But if I'm moving in this direction and moving towards what I want in life, not opposed to what he wanted or she wanted, or running away from what I don't want, I'm running towards what I want in life now. It takes that understanding of how do I burn new neural pathways? It's a mental muscle. So if you wanted to get physically fit, right? Yeah. The guy who invented this, he gives this example, Shazad Shamin. He talks about you wouldn't go to the gym once a week or once a month and expect to see any difference, right? Right. You're not going to go for 5 days and all of a sudden not go back for another month and then expect to be fit. It's a commitment, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be 5 minutes at the end of the day. It can be, let's set some intentions at the beginning of the day by writing some stuff down. But it's that consistency for 6 to 8 weeks, which are going to burn those new neural pathways in your brain. Yeah.
Similarly with creativity, like you have to 100%. Use it and flex it to have it be at your fingertips when you need it. Right. Yeah.
You can all wish for it. Like we can all say, okay, it's time, or on Monday, or I'll wait for that sign. Right. This is your fucking sign right now. This is it right now.
Listen up.
This is it. So get to work. No,
I love it. Yeah,
So,
exactly. But it sounds
yeah.
like, yeah, the putting in that commitment, making that commitment, not only to what you're practicing, but also to yourself and saying,
Yes.
I'm doing this for me because this is where I want to go in my life. And this will get
And
me
you
there.
deserve, and you deserve to be happy, and you're worthy of
Yes.
it right now. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to, work 100 hours a week, just
Yes.
we have these ideas of what we need to go through in order to get to a certain level. And it's all made up in our minds. We make this stuff up that we think that we have to go through a certain thing because somebody else did.
Right.
Right. Nobody else has a book like you. Like we all have our own books. But what I want to encourage people to do is stop rereading the chapters over and over again and start writing a new one. Right.
Great reminder.
It's time.
Yeah. Well, for someone who maybe doesn't think they're creative or is struggling to find creativity, how would you encourage them to find creativity in their life?
I think two ways. I keep saying the writing. And by the way, I'm a terrible writer. Like I have a ritual. I write on my pad every morning, like 2 to 3 pages, right? I write on my pad and then I rip them out and I put them in a manila envelope. And once a month I'll go out to my, fire pit and I'll do a little burning ceremony of all of the things, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing is finding connection, I think, in nature or a place that you can go to that you don't necessarily have to spend money on. Yeah. But whether it's going into the woods, right? Going for a hike or skiing or cross-country skiing in Colorado, where you live. Yeah. Surfing where I live, or you see my board. Swimming in the ocean, like finding that place where you can be alone and that thing that brings you joy. It could be golf. It could be sitting down and sketching a couple things, right? Take the time to connect to that part of you that can be free in that moment where you lose track of time. What is that thing where you lose track of time? Yeah. And I hope it's not video games for some that are listening, which it is. No, I know, yeah. Right? Actually, there's something there. There's a lot of great dopamine releases and something there, but I would say if you can be away from a screen, and really just get into your soul and peel back the layers and just say, okay, what is it that brings me joy, right? And everyone has that. I mentioned what mine was. It changes a few times a year, which I'm getting called to. Yeah. When the ocean drops below 50, it's a little tough to get out there. Brain freeze. So, but like, what is I'm sure you have yours, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, singing, dancing, all those are absolutely mine, but also talking. That's a big one for me. Communication and connection with others, but even just going on a hike and singing to myself in the woods, or like sitting somewhere and singing a song, or feeling that connection to something bigger than myself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And the other thing is expect resistance.
Ooh, great reminder.
Right?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Like, and this is where I think a lot of people, they get messed up, is they think, oh, I'm just going to ease right into this. Resistance is a part of everything we do.
Yes.
It's what gets us stronger. You need it to get physically fit. You need it to get mentally fit, but your relationship with resistance can change. It doesn't have to necessarily be something you fight with. Okay, resistance, let's go. We're going at it today, But no, it's like, all right, I see you. Yeah. You're here for me to get me stronger. We all went through the resistance over this shutdown, right? Yep. Every single one of us. And by the way, the COVID didn't give us anything that we already didn't have. It just blew it up. So we got a chance to look at it, and we saw the resistance that came in with it. And some people are still fighting it, and some people have subside and go, okay, I want to dance now.
Right.
I'm done fighting. I want to dance.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it, is
Mhm.
go with that and say, all right, let's learn to work with it. Let's be into more of that flow.
Yeah.
Right.
Coming back to the flow. I love all of this. It's been such a treat to chat with you. I have one last question.
Yes.
What does it feel like in your body to be creative?
Oh, I think it's an energy that just is a dance. Like right now, like talking to people that are like-minded, like yourself, and we just have this beautiful exchange going back and forth. There's an energy and excitement that comes in. And that, to me, there's nothing better, because I love interacting with people, as I said earlier, right? I love being in front of people. I love, when I do my workshops, it's not like I'm pontificating to the crew. I'm like, let's get into it. Let's talk back and forth, right? I want to ask you a question. You ask me a question. Let's get engaged, right? And it's a feeling that I get. It starts in the gut and it moves all the way through me. It's like, you talk about Reiki, or if we do breath work, which I teach as well, all of that, right? There's a flow, a lightness that occurs, and the words sometimes just come out, and we get to just go back and forth, and it's not just mine, it's everybody's. You all have your own unique thing. Call somebody, I was going to say. It really lights you up. Right? If you're having a hard time, get on the phone with somebody, go out to coffee with them, or ask them out for whatever it is. But those are the things that are going to get the juices flowing. I have like 5 people I know that I can call up, and I know when I get off the phone with them, I'm going to be elevated in a big way.
So right? I love it. Great reminders, good tips. And if people want to learn more about you, things that you do, offerings you have, how do they go about doing that? Yes,
thank you. For my website, chrisplourde.com, which I think you'll put in the show notes. You can get a free breathwork class. It's like a 30-minute class, but you can get me online if you want. I do discovery calls. If somebody's interested in coaching, they can sign up for a discovery call on my website. Also my Instagram, Coach Chris Plourde. So there's a lot of information there. And I'm also coming out with a couple different workshops, online workshops that I'm doing as well. Those will be out virtually for you to purchase in another month or so. And then I also work with the mental fitness. So if you're looking for a 68-week program where you can really get into the nitty-gritty of shifting those habits and acknowledging the judge and getting more into the sage, it's all there for... It's on my website. You guys can check it out and see what feels best to you. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It's been such a treat getting to connect. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me, and you were a joy, and I'm uplifted talking to you being after this. So thank you.
Love it.
Now I got 6 people.
Yes. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.